Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Please, take a seat. Today, we're going to be exploring the old, the withered, and the forgotten custom zombie maps within Black Ops 3. This whole idea came from a gentleman on YouTube by the name of Redline. He explores a bunch of dead games on his channel. I highly recommend you check him out. But his channel gave me the idea to do this today. So, without further ado, I'm not going to waste much of your time. Let's start exploring. Alright, gentlemen, this is the very first map of this video. This map is called the Devil's Workshop. This was made by the real Whacker, who his resume for what he does on the Steam page can be summed up by one other custom zombies map. The rest are dedicated to the Worms Clan Wars game. This map, unlike all the others, has an Easter egg. Now, the reason why I put that in quotations there, the reason why I'm questioning that is that on the Steam workshop page for this map, there is an Easter egg section. If someone goes out of their way and spends a couple of minutes of their day to explain how this Easter egg actually works. And how this Easter egg works is you are supposed to find these hovering knives that are placed randomly around the map. Now, the reason why I question this so much is that this Easter egg tutorial, so to speak, says there are 4 knives to find. I found 5, and 2 of them were in places that weren't even described on this page. So the amount of knives that are actually inside this map are currently just unknown. One of these knives were found in this very spooky and eerie looking room where there is a giant robot body and head with a tiny platform with a teddy bear on it. Now, I don't know if there's any major significance with this room. I mean, it is very far away, so to actually get to that platform, it is quite difficult. There is one knife location there which you can shoot, and that's about it with this room. I was very much taken aback by this whole scenery that was standing before me. The inner Easter egg man-child in me was gagging to see if there was something else in this room. But no, it's just a dark room with a giant robot and a teddy bear in there. There's nothing else with this place. Now, while editing and cutting down this audio section for this video, my curiosity was piqued, so I loaded up the map again and I flew around the map just a little bit more just to see what is actually kind of going on down under. For some reason, there are 3 giant perk bottles in this dark room. I don't know what the purpose of them are. It's just there, and when you go up to it, it says additional parts required. A part of me had thought I've cracked some devious code here by finding these giant perk bottles, but in all seriousness, I think those perk bottles have no actual purpose being there. I would scurry around the underbelly of this Devil's Workshop just a little bit more and find a weird spinning contraption just there under the map. If anyone does modding on custom zombies, please let me know what this is. There are some doors I can actually unlock using points that I had. But anyway, yeah, post-editing Turtle is heading out now. I'm giving you back to the present Turtle, right? Peace. See you later. Now, after playing this map for a good 30-ish minutes or so, there was this one random occasion where I was just kind of Easter egg hunting on a complete utter whim. I had no clue what I was even looking for in the first place. And I stumbled upon this one room where there was some devious ritual-looking stuff happening in here. While I was in this room, though, I was being overrun by some zombies, so I decided to defend myself with the thunder gun. But for whatever reason, upon firing the thunder gun, I was approached by a really, really loud wail from somewhere. And after firing the thunder gun a good couple more times, I was able to find out that the body that is hanging above the teleporter in that main warehouse for some reason produces a massive screaming banshee-like noise for no reason. It wasn't contributing to any Easter egg in any way, shape, or form. It was just screaming every time you fired the thunder gun at it. No other weapon made this effect happen. What the hell? Who the fuck is screaming? Wait, what? Other little things that are on the map are two little buildables. They are the trample steam and the head chopper. I didn't build them because for some reason the buildable desk wouldn't let me do it, and so in the end I didn't really need to build them. I mean, all I was doing was running around. Those items would have just forced me to just sit there and, well, camp. But other than that, there's a Santa Claus that flies across the map, and even then you can't really shoot at him. He's just a T-posing Santa Claus that flies across the map. The real whacker would then go on a month later after releasing this map, create a Halloween special, and that map isn't that much different from this. Apparently it has a numerous amount of bugs, some saying it only has literally 4 weapons, other people saying that it is absolutely terrible, so obviously I had to give it a shot to see if it was worth it. It's time to be spooked, because we are entering Zombie Halloween. This map, in a general scope, is very simple. It is a circular map where you can only move one direction throughout a large duration of your game, with Pack-Punch in the middle of the map. The one thing about this map that makes this very different to the others we are going to be playing later on is that the zombies move very fast, very early on. So it makes this game very entertaining to play. Now, with that being said, there is a slight issue with this map. This map has a very minor, very small amount of weapons that you can actually use in the box. The amount of weapons that are in the box is so low that I can count all the weapons on just my left hand alone. And so after about a good couple of spins or two, you basically have every gun that you would actually need for this game. So you can get set up really quickly on this map. Now, in order to get Pack-Punch, you have to obtain a drop in the form of a pumpkin. This pumpkin is basically zombie's blood, but it has a bonus effect. You need to find a mirror that is located inside of a building, and you have to pray that you can actually go through the mirror and end up at Pack-Punch. For a little while, this didn't really work at first, and after a good amount of just ramming my character's body into a wall, I ran fast enough to where I was able to transport myself to Pack-Punch. It was a bit janky at first, but we got there. We got to Pack-Punch. As well as that, Pack-Punch has its own custom voice line, with the voice line doing a rendition of Mirror, Mirror on the Wall from Snow White. Now, on a surface level, that all sounds really cool. But when I was playing this, at the time, it was legitimately really loud, and it nearly blew out my eardrums. So before I play the clip, just beware, maybe turn it down just a little bit. Ow. That is so loud. Ow. Now, as a general scope, that is basically it with the map. Although I say that my interest was kind of piqued when I saw the massive building on the other side of the cemetery. I was very excited and very hopeful I could get to explore the house. So as any normal citizen would do, I would do a bit of breaking and entering. And to my immeasurable disappointment, I could not break into this house. It was impossible to get in. So I did what any other thief would wish they could do, and I used NoClip, and I went inside the building. I went through the walls, and there was nothing. It was empty. I was very sad. Very depressive. But and as a whole, there wasn't really much else to the map. It's a cool, fun little map. But without further ado, let's just hop into the next one. Okay, being genuinely serious here, this map actually kind of freaked me out. Now, before we go into the deep dark depths as to why that was, let me explain this map. It is a basic zombies map where you have perks in the middle of this completely flat landscape and a mystery box facing the wrong way around, which I entirely fell for. You also have perks on each corner of the map, but venturing into these corners leads you into complete and utter darkness. This was not fun. I generally was kind of freaked out by this dark, eerie part of the map. It is not what made this map spooky in my mind. The zombies, for some reason or another, they do not have the finished running or moving animation that you would normally see within the default game. The creator of this map just did not assign those animations to them. So when they move as if they are a part of a PS1 Harry Potter game. They move in a very stiff manner. The same can be said for the doggos. They are incredibly stiff, and combining this with the fact they spawn very far away and slowly hobble their way towards me, I was kind of freaked out. I pack-punched my gun and proceeded to allow myself to die because I could not deal with how terrifying this map actually was. Pretty simple, basic map, as you would say. We're gonna move into the next one now. When I originally downloaded this map, I was hit with an immense amount of anemoia, which, if you don't know what that means, basically means that you are having nostalgia for something that you've never really experienced. I feel like I recognize it, but I have never in my life actually set foot on this map. And I think one of the reasons why I thought about this at first is because almost everyone within the custom map community has at least played this map at some point in time. There is a reason, and the reason why I say that is because this map has at least 250,000 different people downloaded this map throughout its period of time. So, with that being said, I played the map, and it's a really simple one. I enjoyed it. It is well laid out for its simplicity, and that's about it. There is an Easter egg that you can get within this map. You shoot some figures and it plays some pretty decent music, but other than that, it is just a cramped, small, confined area where you're just trying to fight against some spooky hordes of zombies. Now, while I was fighting off against the hordes of the undead, I accidentally found out that the transit bus at the back of the map is interactable, and my, well, dumbass self thought it'd be a great idea to just blast the transit bus, and every time you shoot it, the horn plays. But this horn, as you'll see as we go through all these maps, is extremely fucking loud. My ears at the end of this recording session were almost non-existent. Ted has some voice lines as well, but yeah, that's about it with the map. We'll just check out the next ones now. Wait. This is a map, and that is a legitimate quote from the map's description before you load it up. This map is a piece of shit. It is really bad, and the fact that I spent at least a good 5 minutes playing this map is actually astonishing. Yeah, we're moving on to the next one. So, you know how I said the last map was genuine shit? This map is by far worse than the last one. This map was made in 2016, and since that time, there have only been a small amount of people that have played this map. I am one of 249 people that have actually visited this page, and I am one of 9 people that have this map downloaded. The map is, at least with the last map, it was somewhat, and I say somewhat in massive quotations, complete. The floor, or I guess the basement, just opens up to the skybox, and then the door that you buy it doesn't move, it doesn't actually open, it's just allows you to walk and phase through the door like you're some spooky ghost. The perks and everything else is outside the map. This map is an icon in how old, withered, and forgotten these maps will be as we progress through them. So yeah, this was 30 seconds of my life. I don't know if I'll ever get back. Let's move on to the next one. It has been a couple of days since I last recorded, and I've upgraded my microphone system. So if I all of a sudden sound even more beautiful than I did 2 seconds ago, that is why. So, yeah, thought I'd just put that out there. Now, I am a big snow enthusiast. I love snow, but only for one reason. It makes me feel cozy indoors, and I really love skiing. So when I am loading into a map and it's called Snow Day, I expect lots of snow to be in Snow Day. But it turns out my expectations were absolutely flattened. There is little amount of snow in this map, and the most insulting thing of it all, this map is supposed to be a challenge map. It was not a challenge. It was not. It was really easy. Pretty boring as well. The only shining light that I experienced while playing this map was that I was able to pull out the PPSH, one of the best and most nostalgic guns of all time, from the box. But that feeling of happiness did not last very long, as this gun, for whatever reason, back when custom maps were coming out, the PPSH had no audio cues, so the game was dead silent anytime you would fire this gun. My day was ruined after this moment, and this map went down the absolute shitter. Oh. What is going on with my PPSH? And it has no audio. One of the best weapons and best sounding guns in the game has no audio. I am now depressed. If you have never heard of Trump's Wall of Doom, then you might actually have been saved. But for those who have been here long enough within this wacky world, then you know that this map is utterly silly and in all ways ridiculous. When you spawn in, there are literal mannequins T-posing everywhere. In fact, these mannequins come in all different kind of forms, some small, some medium size, and some that are absolutely gigantic. So big, in fact, one of their heads can only fit through the bottom of the map, while the body of this mannequin stretches all the way down into the dark abyss below. This map doesn't really function very well, with the major fact that a lot of the major perks are either just floating in midair or straight up just out of bounds. Pack-a-Punch is in fact just tucked away in a corner somehow, and the power switch itself to be able to use all these perks and machines is just attached to a wall about 20 feet in the air, which the only way you can actually get to this thing is by no clipping up to it, also along with the mystery box itself. This map is incredibly silly, and I can't really say that much more about this map as a whole when you go about playing it. But there is quite a bit of a story with this map on the outside. The person who created this map made a large description. One of the last few notes that this map creator left behind before, well, leaving this map for good. Start of quote. I had a ton of fun making this map. This is my first map, so I went crazy. I made this before looking at tutorials and had a few friends give me tips. Hopefully you enjoy this, and yes, I won't release another until I make a good looking map. Lol. I've played custom zombies on World at War long enough to know what a good map is from a bad one. I just did not want to release a crappy test map like everyone else was doing. I thought that this was a pretty fun rendition, so have at it everyone. I'm thinking about coming back to this map eventually when I have more experience to make a more professional map in response to the series I am doing. Hopefully all else turns out okay. And then he left a bunch of reviews from other content creators about this map. The funny thing about all of this, with all that disclaimer being said just there is no intention for this map to be actually any good. But the funniest bit about this is that there are people who will go into the comment section and they will emphasize their disappointment on how this map doesn't meet their Shawshank Redemption level of expectations. They have this expectation of a map that is literally called Donald Trump's Wall of Doom and has floating mannequins everywhere. I think that's hilarious and is incredibly silly. And so with these constant comments happening back and forth, the content creator came back in 2023 and said this, start of quote, "I don't know what you are expecting. Lol. This map hasn't been updated since literally 7 years ago, and I have no plans on restarting this project. It was meant to be a fun little thing that I updated and added a bunch of random crap as the tools got updated, but I deleted the file by accident and there's no way you can get it back. I have neither the time or the willpower to go back and learn how to map. For now, this map is just a relic of time. If you are playing a map from legit 2016 and hoping for a good map experience, then you need to go look for more modern maps, my dude. 2016 is when tools came out, so any map circulating then is going to be as basic as it gets. Even still, this map has creative aspects such as invisible platforms that make you utilize the shadows to see where things are. Of course, it's dog shit and pure trash. That's what the goal was. And that was the last comment that the map creator has made ever since then, and rightfully so. I mean, the name of the map itself is not made to be serious, but some people need a little glimpse of humbling just to kind of help them realize to maybe tone down their expectations a little bit. Future Turtle here. Hi. After reading that little segment there, I loaded up the map again to see if I could actually find the invisible pathways that the creator mentioned. And it turns out there are in fact invisible pathways, and these invisible pathways actually lead you to the exact things I mentioned earlier on that are out of bounds. Those being Jug, Power, and the mystery box themselves. It's honestly kind of cool, but it's still incredibly goofy. But yeah, thought I would just clarify that. That was Donald Trump's Wall of Doom. It is a cult classic when it comes to forgotten, shit, old maps. This map is pretty self-explanatory. The map is called Tiny, so the map itself is tiny. You are in this small, little, I would guess, trailer-sized area where you have 12 windows to make sure you're rebuilding and taken care of. Once a window is broken and the zombies come flooding in, it is go time, and you have to try and defend as best you can before you get overrun. Now, what makes this map also very challenging alongside the 12 windows that you have to basically protect yourself from is that you are limited, very limited, to the weapons that are on the wall and the perks that are also attached to the wall itself. There is no pack-a-punch, there is no mystery box, just the weapons on the wall, the perks, and the 12 windows you have to defend yourself on. Honestly, I had a very fun time just trying to survive as long as I could. I think I got to around about 12 on this experience, 12 to 15. It is pretty challenging. If anyone thinks they can actually beat me in this one, please feel free to give it a go. Alright, I'm ready. I'm ready. Oh. Oh no. I don't think this is how it's supposed to be. Now, this map, ladies and gentlemen, is a classic and was the first of its kind within Black Ops 3. That is the One Window Challenge by Yekai. I'm pretty sure I said that entirely wrong, and I am very sorry. This map, let's just emphasize the scope of this. This map, even though it was made nearly 9 years ago, this map still currently has 81,000 people still subscribed to this map. And if we are talking about in the scope of the most popular maps of all time, this map is ranked the 100th most popular map. And there are thousands and thousands of custom maps within this game. So this map must have done something to be in the top 100. So I gave it a go. And immediately, for a map that I didn't really experience too much in its prime, I still felt an immense amount of nostalgia. Something so simple just seems to strike me for some reason. But I played this map I gave it a really good go. I tried not to use all the overpowered things too early on, as with the thing with one window challenges, especially in the early days, the early rounds are very, very, very slow, and it really doesn't take very long for your weapon to become unbelievably strong. So I just kind of played it at a pace where it was still fun and it is enjoyable. But it was getting to a point where, I did have to pack a punch. But once again, once you pack a punch on this game, or especially on a map where the zombies spawn in the exact same place, it does lose its tension very quickly. So I played it for a bit. I didn't play it for too long, as my ADHD is basically immensely powerful, and so I ended it not too long after. But it was nice to play an old classic within this forgotten realm. If I have maybe reignited some memories of you guys playing this map, I hope they were good memories. And with that being said, let's hop into the next one. Now, ladies and gentlemen, if there are any of you here right now, this is a very, very special map that we're talking about right now. I played Fabrik Der Untoten a very, very long time ago. I loaded up the map and played, I would say, a good 5 minutes of it, and then I left. I don't know what reason there was to leaving, but I left. But here I am after nearly 6 or 7 years of playing it for the first time, and it is astonishing what this map did considering its situation. And if you don't know what the situation is for this map, ladies and gentlemen, this map right here, Fabrik Der Untoten, is the first custom zombies map to be released on Black Ops 3 when the mod tools first came out. But not only was this map the very first map, was what Fabrik Der Untoten was able to bring to the table. And I'll kind of go through that as I've played it. The first thing that immediately struck me about this map when I played it for the first time was how detailed it was for what the modded community was able to use, considering what was provided in their mod tool section. There wasn't much. There really wasn't much. And so with what they had on them, the man, Madgaz, the creator of this map, was able to create a stunning little map. This map had an underground facility which had lovely little textures and vibes going on as you go through it. It is very cool. You also have a fully fledged Easter egg as you enter one of the rooms, where you are set on a journey to find little items to hopefully help whoever is talking to you. As one of the first custom zombies maps, the Easter egg has a decent little story to it. The Easter egg is also relatively long. You are going on a fetch quest for a large majority of it, trying to find some bananas. And when you try to find these bananas, they're all spread across in very weird locations. You have to use the teleporter within the map to find some of the remaining locations within this map. And be ready for this, gentlemen, because this is where it gets even more crazier. Not only was this map able to bring a fully fledged and a completable Easter egg to the game, but it was also able to have recreated versions of certain locations from maps within the official Call of Duty game. So if you use this teleporter, you have a chance to spawn in one of 3 locations. You can either spawn in the trenches of Origins, you can either spawn in one of the Hellhound locations on Mob of the Dead, or you can spawn in the Pack-a-Punch room within Kino der Toten. And all these little areas were created from scratch and on the first map ever made. Now, I am entirely sucking the cock of this map big time, but we gotta understand here, ladies and gentlemen, this map was made using only the basic mod tools that were released at the time, which was 2016, literally when the mod tools first came out. So for Madgaz to be able to recreate some of the OG maps from the original games is quite an impressive feat. But also alongside that, he was able to make his very own perk machine with its very own perk jingle. From what we have seen so far in a lot of these maps in this video, no one else has been able to do that so far. Not many, if anyone. So, for something like this to have occurred is very impressive. Now, what makes the rest of this even cooler is that when I started no-clipping, I was able to explore the underbelly of Fabrik Der Untoten, and I got to see all the other little areas that you can teleport to, Origins, Mob of the Dead, and Kino to Toten. But there was one extra little area that is not playable in the actual map, and that is a complete remake of Ascension's starting room area. I was able to no-clip all the way to this area and physically walk around this little rendition of the spawn room. Obviously, it was never fully completed in the end, but I think it's cool that the idea of Ascension being in the map was there, though I don't really know as to why it was not really finalized in the end. So yeah, that is Fabrik Der Untoten, an absolute classic. Now for the last section of this video, we're going to be venturing a little bit forward, just a little bit forward in time, to where the maps evolved and they got a little bit more creative. And so I've got a lovely little special map for you guys as our last one for this video. I have no idea as to why this map is called Pacman Halloween Zombies instead of just Pacman Zombies, but whatever. It is what it is. So yes, we are playing Pacman Zombies, or what is known as Pacman Halloween Zombies, and this is the final map within this video, and I've saved the, I would say, a pretty odd one to last. This map is pretty fun, honestly. There are very little doors to actually buy. In fact, the only doors that you get to buy in this map are the ones where you get to teleport to different sections of the Pacman realm. But yes, this map is laid out like the Pacman games, so it is a bit of a maze trying to run around the place. And honestly, I kind of liked it, and it did create some tension when running around. However, the zombies don't despawn when you go to certain areas of the map. They literally have to run through the gaps between the areas when you teleport. So sometimes you'll hop into a new area of the map and you may have to wait like a good 30 or so seconds before the zombies actually get to you. You're running through this little maze, and as you're going through, there are little soul boxes that you can fill up, which help you make your way towards Pack-a-Punch. Now, some things I noticed when playing this map. Every little feature within this map, and it's been a running theme throughout the custom maps we've been playing today, but for some reason, with every, and I mean every, little function within this map, everything's really loud. I think this is the loudest it's actually been throughout the entire game. Every time you buy ammo or buy a gun off a wall, you are just blasted by something. I don't even know how to really describe it. It's just a very incoherent noise. And then when you buy the box, you know, it has that kind of waiting sound, but that's also extremely loud. And then when you grab the gun from the box itself, it makes a really loud laughing sound effect when you grab it. 2,000. 1,000. Okay. The fuck was that? That was really loud again. The fuck? Now, there is an Easter egg in this map, and it comes in the form of these chicken statues that are spread out across the map. You have to shoot all the statues that you see around the map. They're hidden-ish. I say they're hidden, but they're not really very well hidden. And as I would normally do, I opened my third eye and was able to lock on to all these statues incredibly, and I mean incredibly easily. Once you have shot all chicken statues, you receive a free Pack-a-Punch weapon. Now, the fun part about this, everyone, is that this weapon isn't delivered to you. You have to go find it. Now, I never found it when I first played this game, so I had to reload this game again, unlock no clip, zoom around the map, shoot all the chicken statues again, and then I had to, once again, just fly across the map and just hover around and look for a little glint being the Pack-a-Punch weapon. And lo and behold, I found it. And it gave me the M1 Garand. All that work for a literal, legitimate piece of shit. I do not know if it is the same weapon every single time, but to know that after all that, you know, going past my first game, gained my second, and only getting an M1 Garand for it was a bit of a, you know, I got a bit of a slap in the face for it. It was a big old wallop. Other little features in this map is while you are progressing through this map, you are bothered by a loud stomping noise. And once again, just like before, with every sound feature within this map, the footsteps for this zombie is really loud, like uncomfortably loud. My ears could not deal with it, especially because this one's actually chasing me. It was horrible. But this zombie comes in the form of George A. Romero. Love that guy, but I don't love him in this. So I obliterated him as many times as he appeared, and then proceeded to finish the game through the buyable ending, which was surprisingly cheap. Now after my no-click game, I also proceeded to commit endgame by jumping off the edge and falling into utter darkness. But somehow, some way or another, I was drowning to death through invisible water. That took me off guard entirely. But yeah, that was Pacman Halloween Zombies. A truly forgettable map. And that is all the custom maps we have time for today. This was incredibly fun to make. Originally, I was going to be doing Black Ops 3 servers, but it turns out that they aren't really servers at all. In fact, they are just private games that the people made in the game. So originally, when I was joining all these games, people were genuinely freaking their shit out when I turned up because it is a private game. And that's why I did this kind of video, out of just respect for, well, not doing that to other people. If you guys enjoyed yourself and made it this far into the video, please let me know down below. I would really appreciate that. Leave a like, please subscribe. It motivates me to do more of this kind of video. It's so new for me to do this kind of format, and honestly, I was a bit nervous starting it. But if you guys enjoyed it, please let me know down below. Thank you all for watching. I've got plenty of other custom apps I want to explore with you guys. So I will see you in the next one. Peace.